Hello, everyone, and welcome to my December edition of the podcast, Anita Says. In this session, I will speak about whether the famous Chennai Madras culture season has lost its sheen and the disturbing currents of corruption and its subsequent fallout. The shocking suicide of teenage makeup artist Pranshu and the continuing prejudice and hate towards the LGBTQIA+ community. The gratitude I have felt with the completion of the 25th year of xNarthakam, the ritual temple theatre performance in my ancestral village of Tirukkurungudi in southern Tamil Nadu. And there is more, so buckle up and listen. Every December, we ask ourselves the same question. Where did the year go? What? Already? Gosh, how time flies. While we take a close look at our 1 year older selves, inside and out, this is a season for rejoicing, gifting, coming together, and remembering the year that has just gone by. For us performers, it is the time to share and, yes, show off our accumulated training and experience to a global audience. Here in Chennai, citizens still pride themselves on having the best Khan sense, a keen listening ear for music, and by association, the most discerning audience for Bharatanatyam, or so we say. There are many dancers who may disagree with this assumption, but there is one aspect that cannot be denied. In the month between December 15th to January 15th, it is still possible to watch the most celebrated of Bharatanatyam dancers here in one city. Never mind the awful acoustics, lack of technical rehearsals, zero parking facilities, and deplorable infrastructure. People still arrive from other cities and shores, and dancers still look forward to ascending the Chennai stage. As expected, the programming is one-sided. It is a torrent of one style alone, Bharatanatyam, and a mono-aesthetic, gymnastic, fast, and applause-evoking. In spite of repeated discussions and suggestions from various experts and my constant writing about it, there seems to be very little change on the ground. What is interesting is that the large crowds ready to pay high ticket prices are for those dance artists who are not part of the, quote, serious dance programming. As audiences grow for these Instagram-friendly artists, festival organizers must acknowledge the tectonic shifts that have occurred in Bharatanatyam. As the season schedule for Carnatic music is announced, long lines will be seen outside some Sabha halls with eager music fans ready to purchase season tickets at very high prices. No such crowds are expected for any of the dance programs, although some artists will draw significant crowds. How I wish we could have a format like they do in Las Vegas. Before the headline main event, there will always be an excellent but relatively unknown youngster to warm up the crowd. These artists are given the benefit of a large audience and are then able to hone their talent to prepare for their own time in the spotlight. This year, I have noticed something different. More and more India-based dancers across age groups and experience are working and touring outside India for longer periods of time, only returning back home towards the very end of November or even early December. Does this mean that the NRI appetite for India-based artists is growing? More masterclasses? Less performance-based sessions? More expert mentoring? Is the hunger for item teaching waning? All these questions are up in the air. There are other mini-festivals in the works. Event managers who once ideated weddings and anniversaries have become cultural festival curators. Public and private spaces in Chennai are being booked for alternative performances smack in the middle of the main festival season. My own home and garden is officially part of the city-wide initiative called Kutti Kacheri, curated by Lasya Narasimhachari, to bring audiences into a more intimate setting and an opportunity to watch and interact with the artists after the show. Throughout India, culture festivals are exploding. The cooler weather and the holiday mood are infectious combinations. Serendipity Festival in Goa continues to accumulate a variety of Indian and international talent that makes it an attractive destination. Elsewhere, New Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, with the Unboxing Bangalore Habba, and Kolkata are brimming with music, dance, theatre events across genres, which makes me wonder if the once all-important Chennai Cultural Festival is actually losing its sheen. A story for all seasons. This is a time for senior performers like myself to get back in the game. I find myself facing a calendar that is daunting. Reviving a 2010 production like A Million Sitas that has already undergone several avatars since its premiere during the Chennai Margari season is proving to be very challenging. The story of Rama and Sita is constantly throwing up newer interpretations as the epic stays firmly in the center of political and cultural debate. With trolls, cynics, right and left-wingers on the prowl, I have to be very focused and careful while navigating between performance, dialogue delivery, script, humor, and technique. The 2023 version of A Million Sitas has dancer, musician, actor Uma Satyanarayana as my co-performer. And it is a delight to work with an artist who's a triple threat. That's Broadway lingo. Between a corporate women's convention, a private event, and a mainstream sabha kacheri, the story of Sita and her sisters continues to travel. Diaspora on center stage. The Natya Darshan conference with Roja Kannan as convener shines the spotlight on the remarkable achievements of the diaspora with awards and presentations by legends like Hema Rajagopalan from Chicago, Ratna Kumar from Houston, and Ramli Ibrahim from Malaysia. The presence of Indian dance overseas has not yet been adequately documented and registered as a significant social and economic impact group. They have shown tenacity, faith in the arts of the homeland, and made noteworthy inroads into the societies they live in. We who live in India can see a definite shift in money inflow-outflow from their resource centers and the changing tastes in style and aesthetics. I remember the book Sweating Saris by scholar Priya Srinivasan as one of the examples of dance in the diaspora. More writing and surveys are required to map a coherent image of how vital their patronage and presence is in the domestic arts scene. There is also a dire need to map the number of non-Indians who are learning, teaching, and performing Indian classical dance. From various identities and faiths, it is a fascinating social study of how artistic traditions travel across geographies and onto culturally different bodies. Dance and social impact. More and more performers are being asked to become bilingual, to create social impact alongside cultural capital. Art makers are expected to fix climate change, pollution, domestic violence, aging, mental health, and everything else through their art. Rama Vaidyanathan's Natyakala conference throws light on the less glamorous aspect of dance making. Transcendence is the title for her third turn as convener, and Sri Krishnagana Sabha is preparing for yet another year of good crowds and a different patina to the oldest dance conference in India. Focusing on social issues and important voices swirling around the dance world, Rama has curated 5 days of engaging conversations and short performances. Art is expectedly married to aesthetics, and art making cannot avoid the idea of beauty. Social impact artists are not concerned about creating a pleasing product. Rather, they are preoccupied with delivering a clear message. This year, all the presenters and speakers will be focusing on areas like healing, trauma, physical aging, and other aspects of the arts that are normally brushed aside and devalued in India. Truly award and applause worthy. 80 is a magical number. One has witnessed 1,000 moons, as the elders say. It is a momentous milestone that few are fortunate to arrive at. We have 3 dance legends in our midst that own this number. First to touch the mark is Paddu Akka, Padma Subramaniam, whose impact on the dance scene continues undiminished. Arriving very soon are Sudharani Raghupati, March 21st, 2024, and Sonal Mansingh, April 30th, 2024. Of the 3, Sonal Mansingh has enthusiastically embraced social media since the pandemic and has been consistent in sharing her talks and performances online. Unafraid of the camera lens, her erudition in English, Sanskrit and Hindustani are formidable. Sudharani Raghupati has been a mentor and a guide during an important phase of my dance career. Searching for a woman who could guide me when I returned to India in 1990 from the US, she took me under her wing and we dreamed up the name for my foundation, Arangam Trust, in her living room. She was among the first trustees and helped me in maturing my Abhinaya and started my Aryar Seve research. Sudharani is an elegant example of how to remain graceful and accepting of change, which is the only constant. All 3 women represent an important and historic era of transition and change in Indian dance history. No amount of cynicism and naysaying from the cancel culture brigade can diminish their contribution to classical dance in India and elsewhere. All born before India became independent, their individual histories serve as a document of exceptional talent wedded to opportunity and uncompromising hard work. We bow to these women and send our gratitude for their impact on Indian dance. A rare solidarity. It is everyone's nightmare to breathe your last in solitude, to have nobody to mourn your passing or claim your body. This was the distressing situation with Kathakali artist Prabal Gupta. Driven to carving a niche for his career as a non-Malayali student of the theatre form, Prabal faced many hurdles in his career. Never afraid of reaching out to senior dancers for conversations or suggestions, his life was cut short by a severe pneumonia attack and a fall that caused a head injury. When news of his passing arrived, it came with the fact that his body was lying unclaimed at the Nimhans Hospital in Bangalore. It was dancer Veena Murthy Vijay and Imran, dancer Madhulita Mahopatra's husband, and several of the Bangalore dancers who rallied together to ensure that Prabal got the cremation and closure he deserved. This was a heartening display of rare solidarity, which was further enhanced by Pratibha Prahlad's initiative, with the news that Sangeet Natak Academy, New Delhi, would bear the entire cost of hospitalization and treatment given to Prabal. I think to myself, of what use is this life in the spotlight if all goes dark in a flash and there's nobody, not a single soul, who's waiting when the auditorium is shut, the crowds go home, nobody to help you step down from the pedestal and the stage, nobody to talk to cry and laugh with, to argue and to hold close, to miss you and wait for your return. Prabal's death is tragic, but it reminds us of the solitude of our profession, that performers are ultimately alone with their bodies and minds as sole companions. If only we can make peace with that thought. Cyberbullying. The suicide of 16-year-old Pranshu from Ujjain shook up the internet last month. A self-taught makeup artist, Pranshu, who identifies as queer with pronoun they, died after a video was posted wearing a red sari for Diwali. The over 4,000 blood-curdling hate comments received prompted Pranshu to say goodbye to life. Even after the death, the Instagram page at Glam It Up with Pranshu is continuing to receive more hate comments. Ironically, the follower count has jumped from 10,000 to 36,000 after the tragic event, and it's growing daily. This is macabre for sure. Many of us have called out Meta and X platforms for failing the LGBTQIA plus communities and for not checking the hate and homophobic comments. Arthur Bejar, a former Meta executive, has testified to US senators that Meta is, quote, fundamentally misleading the public about safety for its teenage users and that Instagram is not appropriate for anyone as young as age 13. It is really shameful to know that there are so many, mostly men, who carry such vile rage against members of the non-binary community. As performers, we are part of the larger creative world where so many artists of various identities feel safe expressing themselves through art. We all know of at least one individual who is afraid or trapped in society, playing a double role as, quote, normal by day and non-binary at other times. Afraid to come out for fear of disrespect, violation, or retribution. If we don't reach out as allies, how can we hope to create a safe space of equity and social justice? Just writing and speaking about it is not enough. We need to step up when we see dangerous signs of someone who is emotionally fragile and vulnerable. We should be part of the solution, not the problem. Rest in power and peace, Prabal and Pranshu. Corridors of corruption. A recent Instagram post on my handle spoke about the rot in the Chennai Sabha system during December. It is now a well-known fact that some organizations demand money from dancers for a performance slot. The post has brought on a torrent of comments, and many shared their personal trauma at the hands of corrupt Sabha officials. It is truly distressing that this situation has gone unchecked for so long. One post suggested that we seniors are accepting, quote, blood money since the sabhas are paying us with the donations they are receiving from the desperate dancers. Most comments lay the blame squarely on over-anxious parents. Some point fingers at gurus who are forcing their students to pay for slots so that they, the guru, can get to perform in a prime evening slot. One teacher from Europe even suggested that paying for a sabha slot in December is cheaper than renting a hall to self-present. Wah, so easy. And the cynical comments are still coming, tarnishing the Chennai December season and making it more of a business arrangement and not a cultural landmark. Recently, 2 out-of-town dancers contacted me saying that after watching my post, they were refusing the 10 a.m. morning slot in one sabha due to zero payment. Sadly, the majority don't seem to care. Just to dance in Chennai no matter what the cost is still a badge of honor. Gen Z lingo. I came across a humorous clip on YouTube where dancer Swarnamalya Ganesh shared her tutorial with her students who were all Gen Z, those born between 1997 to 2012. Swarnamalya is an associate professor of practice at Kriya University and confessed that she was taking down notes like a student herself. I'm going to apply some of these new words that are being used by this generation to the coming dance season. Just listen. In that Varnam, she was just slaps. Yeah, slaps. What does that mean? Just wonderful. Food in the Sabha canteens during December season is always bussin'. Yeah, bussin'. Not buzzing, bussin', which means delicious. She was looking snack in that costume. Snack, which we associate with food, but here snack for Gen Z means looking great. I was laughing so much that I was dead. Dead means just too funny. Can you imagine? Slaps, bussin', snack, and dead. For anyone who doesn't understand this lingo, you will be dismissed as boomers. I am in that category. I don't profess to understand any of these words, and my English teachers would certainly be aghast at this language. But I don't hesitate to admire Gen Z for their sheer audacity and ambition. More power to them, and may they become supporters, funders, and enablers of high-quality cultural production. A silver milestone. I end on a note of gratitude. The 25th performance of xNarthaki concluded in a grand display of profound devotion and applause. The crowds at the Tirukkurungudi temple sat in rapt attention, ages 8 to 80, including infants, babes in arms. The almost 4-hour theatre ritual enjoyed its 25th continuous staging on November 23rd. It was a particularly emotional moment for me, having journeyed with this process since 1996. Revival requires persistence, determination, dedication, focus, and yes, faith. The atmosphere inside the Azhagiya Nambi temple throughout the evening was electrifying and emotional. In the midst of magnificent architecture created by unknown hands and supported by visionary kings and rulers, this citadel of faith came alive with rasa and bhava. For all performers, I feel it's really important to leave our urban cocoons and travel at least once a year to these kinds of spaces to energize our creative batteries and to be reminded of the power of performances outside auditoriums and the collective energy of multitudes. To forget what normally consumes us, like the recent World Cup cricket final between India and Australia, it seemed like the entire country was watching television on that Sunday, except in Tirukkurungudi, where no television set was blaring the scores from the modest homes on the temple streets. There was no whooping or mourning when India lost tamely. It felt surreal to me, but also put things in perspective. Sport always has a victor and a loser. The arts only has winners. A tale for our fractured times. The 15th century story of xNarthaki is especially relevant for the fractured time we live in today. The salvation of the Rakshasa, a high-born Sanskrit-speaking, Veda-chanting Brahmin, being cursed and needing a Tamil-speaking Kaisiki Pandraga singing low-born bard to release him from the cursed form. This makes a strong statement in the current debate about dharma and social justice. If only governments focused on these tangible examples instead of grandstanding and creating a more divisive environment. With a significant amount of money coming into the city, with ticket sales, sari purchases, hotel, restaurant, car, flight bookings, jewelry purchase, music recordings, and payouts to musicians, we are looking at a minimum of $2 million of revenue being generated by visitors in just 1 month. Why would the state government not pay attention to the economics? 2 chief ministers have already inaugurated the Music Academy festivals and promised to promote it at an international level. Nothing has happened yet. As I include, the much-touted, largest festival of dance and music in the world stays within the location of South Chennai, Mylapore, Adayar, Tenampet, T Nagar, and Mambalam. A tiny well within a small pond. But congratulations to all the awardees. May the titles and recognition give wind to your artistic dreams. Welcome to my city, where the ocean meets land, where many artists live, dream, and create. A very, very warm welcome to every visitor. Vanakkam, Namaskaram, Namaste, Vango, Vango. Dancers and musicians, bring on your A game. It's showtime, y'all. Drum roll, lights on, Chinnamelam is happening once again. Best wishes for a joyous season and a smooth transition to 2024. Until we meet again in the new year, this is Anita Ratnam saying bye for now.